welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton at Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, and London, England, as well as Paris, France, of course, you good old boys in Canada and Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, on a beautiful November the 18th, 2020. Gone to the Deportes. Bonjour, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, we had a beautiful day a week before Thanksgiving down here in Charlton, but I want to give a thanks to our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders, for the wonderful job that they do every day in making sure keeping everyone healthy in America.
They do a fabulous job. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton at Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars also all around the world. Just say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic. He'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away, and I really appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, I love pausing, Big C. A lot of good old boys are pausing for the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson, I hope everything's going to be okay. Still doing some tests, but I'll never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Big C, why is that so important to you?
Charlton, this is a much-needed service for all our military veterans here in the United States. We lose some 24 a day to suicide, horrific number, Charlton. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, hoping to stem that, Charlton, of our military veterans, who so many of those are mentally, physically, and financially destitute when we're trying to return back to civilian life in America. We have COVID-19 that has taken the interest of everybody, Charlton, but our veterans suffer from COVID-19 also.
Yeah.
But suicide has been going on long before COVID-19 arrived, and even after they have a vaccine for COVID-19, they won't have one for suicide. And that's something that the nation needs to address on a daily basis, Charlton, and pay more attention to it. It is horrific that our veterans have to suffer in this way. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, is there trying to ease their mind mentally. But they need more than just that, Charlton. So any way that you can help out a veteran in today's society, never hesitate.
Never hesitate, and we never will. Big C, 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, just simple to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. You can definitely get our veterans some help. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, DirecTV, AT&T, Uverse, TV 53, home of the San Francisco Giants and the Say Hey Kid, as well as the home run leader Barry Bonds. When you reach out to them, just tell them Big C sent you. Our goal is simple. We want to recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this country, putting their property listings on TV, just like McDonald's does it, car dealerships do it, sports are doing it too. Watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. That's bigcsports.pacwm.com. Also, for anyone all over the world, I know they're doing the NBA draft tonight. We don't like to spoil things. A lot of people go home and record it on their DVR, so we won't get too much into who's picked first and second, spoiling you by the time you get home. But I do want to tell you, every one of these players being drafted tonight, they all have a cell phone. I'm telling every athlete all over the universe, open your cell phone, speak into it, say play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic. He will do his thing, and I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. Big C, I'm going to tell you something. Everybody's hyped about the NBA draft, Everybody's hyped about having, some turkey dinners coming up sometime pretty soon, Big C. But I'm a little bit happy and sad. Today, People magazine, they named actor Michael B. Jordan the sexiest man alive. In fact, the sexiest man in the universe. And you know that made Donald Trump upset. Donald Trump said he's going to cancel his People's Magazine subscription, Big C. He said he even hired Rudy Giuliani to recount all the votes. He said it's a rigged system. He's insisting that he's won. Even Melania's packing her bags to the White House. She got rid of all of her Black Panther posters. Donald Trump made her do that. As she's singing around the White House, he's saying, Wakanda forever, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm wondering if Donald Trump figured out why he did not win, Charlton. For a man who has had as many alleged sexual assault charges and as many alleged rape charges that he had, he thinks that he's the most desirable man around when he has to force himself upon women.
Yeah, that's crazy. Melania's walking around the White House going, Wakanda forever! It's all fair, love and war. Michael B. Jordan, you definitely get the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats, and we hope that you enjoy that with your sexiest man alive competition. Big C, really, I want to ask you, why would he send out Rudy Giuliani to count the votes? They can't even count the votes in the election, but every time a black man wins, they always want to recount something. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I'm perplexed by all of that, Charlton.
Yeah.
When Donald Trump stood up and talked about he's done more for black people than any president in American history.
Yeah.
But yet he's telling black people they don't have the right to vote.
Yeah.
When you look at the places where he's challenging the vote, Charlton,
yeah.
heavily black populations in Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
yeah.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlton, he's challenging the votes in those cities that are largely minority populations, telling these black people that they're not intelligent enough to vote for somebody other than him.
Yeah.
So this is what kills me, is that a white guy is telling black people that they're dumb, and yet you got a lot of black people running around America saying this guy is right.
And that crazy. It's all fair in love and war. He's trying to find the vibranium. He's not going to find the vibranium, Big C. It's all fair in love and war. Congratulations, Michael B. Jordan. Big C, I want to run to this world of college football. It's like you get football almost 7 days a week. It's amazing. But I got to bring up some thoughts to you, and I want to get Big C's thoughts. More college football, when you think about it, the coaching changes is coming after Will Muschamp. They gave that boy, I think, $15 million. He was just fired. Who could be next, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there's a whole host of coaches that have been very disappointing this year when you think about college coaches being gone. I mean, when you look at the Big Ten, I mean, there's a couple of coaches that are really underachieving.
Yeah.
You got Jim Harbaugh there. You got Franklin at Penn State.
Yep.
I mean, so when you look across the landscape of college football, there are people that are paying people to win.
Yeah.
Even in the SEC, Jeremy Pruitt down in Tennessee could be hot seat even after signing an extension this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to throw out some names to you, and I'm West Coast-centric. And I think a lot of these guys that are losing their jobs are down in the South, Big C. In the West Coast, they tend to keep people around. As you mentioned, Jim Harbaugh.
Well, they're okay with losing out on the West Coast. When you're on the West Coast, the bar is set really low as far as expectations.
No, you guys.
You're not going to get in the college football playoff. So how are you going to do any better than what you're doing?
You guys just don't want to count the votes. We're going to get Rudy Giuliani to count the West Coast in. But given the way things have gone thus far this season, there are a few other teams that are seriously considering making a change if things do not improve in the next couple of weeks. Big C, Jim Harbaugh of Michigan, as you mentioned, estimated buyout $6.4 million. Vanderbilt, Derek Mason, estimated buyout, Big C, and that's a private school. No one really knows what that's going to be for him. But Illinois, we have a former Super Bowl coach in Lovie Smith, estimated buyout $2.6 million. Louisiana, Monroe, Matt Vader, estimated buyout only $175,000. They probably got that in paper bags. A guy that I don't want to get RC fired is James Franklin for Penn State. I mean, they were solid last year. You can't expect people to have a great year in COVID. That's my opinion. You have an estimated buyout more than $30 million down at Tennessee. Big C, Jeremy Pruitt, estimated buyout $13 million. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that's a lot of cheddar, Charlton, when you're talking about buying out coaches. But, the biggest problem when you let a coach go before his contract is run out, Charlton, not only do you have to pay that coach, Charlton, that you dismissed from your program, but you also got to pay the new coach that you bring in. So how much money is going to be left on the table? And then what are the expectations of that new coach. Remember a couple of years ago we saw that down at the University of Texas?
Yeah.
When they got rid of
Charlie Strong.
Charlie Strong. And they brought in Tom Herman. They paid Tom Herman a lot of money to bring a championship and even a playoff opportunity to the University of Texas.
Yeah.
His record down at the University of Texas really hasn't been any different than what Charlie Strong's was.
No.
So when you dismiss a coach and you bring in another coach, you have to be careful of what you wish for.
Yeah.
You got to look at the landscape of the conference that you're in, seeing that who you're going to have to compete against, especially in the SEC. As long as Nick Saban is around,
yeah,
you know you're only competing for second place in that conference, maybe
yeah,
third at best.
Yeah.
When you look at these other conferences around, Charlton, the landscape is not much easier. So to go out and bring in a high-profile coach, knowing that he can't knock off the king of the hill,
yeah,
you're not going to get much for your money.
Well, that's true, Big C. And I hate seeing coaches fired in a COVID environment. They have so much money they're giving away. And these are the same schools that said, we can't pay the kids. There's not enough money. How are we going to pay these black boys money? We got to give Coach $13 million, and he's fired. Doesn't make any sense. I want to get Big C's thoughts. And I'm telling you, all of you college players that are in the NBA and you're about to be drafted, I'm serious. Open up your cell phone and just say Google Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear Welcome to the Show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away, and everybody knows that. Also, I'm looking at just some conversation having with a lot of other companies out there with Big C Sports. You know, Sports Illustrated, USA Today, talking to Big C Sports also. But I want to get Big C's thoughts on the top 10 college football players who have improved their NFL stock so far. Now, it may not be what Mel Kiper and Mache, because they get about 22%. You said a monkey scored higher on a test. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you know, it's always an objectionable opinion when you're looking at college football players. Coming into the season, Charlton, there's always your preseason favorites that you have coming in.
Yep.
But each season is new when you look at college football. There's always somebody rising on the landscape that no one gave a second thought to, that elevates themselves to the first round of the NFL draft.
Yeah, they all got to stay healthy, and we'll see what happens. So Big C's thoughts on some players in college football that have improved their draft stock, Big C. Quarterback Zach Wilson, Kyle Trask, and Mark Jones. Before this season, none of them regularly landed in the top 5 quarterback rankings. I want to bring it to a person by the name of Terrence Marshall Jr., a wide receiver from LSU. But before I finish up with him, you need guys to throw it to him. Give me your feelings on Wilson, Trask, and Jones, Big C. Your thoughts.
You know, Zach Wilson, to me, Charlton, is the biggest story of all three. When you look at Kyle Trask, he filled in for Felipe Franks last year at the University of Florida. Mac Jones filled in for Tua when he got hurt at the University of Alabama. But when you look at Zach Wilson at BYU, this is a kid who came into camp this year, Charlton, slated as second or third on the depth chart.
Yep.
They had a 5-star recruited quarterback at BYU that they brought in. He's still going to be a 5-star recruit as a redshirt freshman next year because Zach Wilson said, no, this little kid is not going to beat my butt out at quarterback.
No, he's not
if you look at the numbers that he's put up this year, Charlton, he's only thrown 2 interceptions all year long. I believe he's thrown about 22 touchdowns. He's completing close to 80% of his passes. Right now, if I'm drafting a quarterback, he's going to be the third quarterback coming off the board in the NFL draft. Yeah,
there's a lot of good players. Give me your thoughts on Terrence Marshall Jr. He's a wide receiver, LSU. Through 5 games, he's reeled off 31 passes, Big C, 540 yards, and 9 touchdowns, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a guy that was on that receiving tree last year at LSU's national championship team.
Yep.
He was one of the leftovers, Charlton, who decided not to go to the NFL, thought he would come back and get a little more, schooling in, Charlton, as well as experience on the field.
Yep.
And it's paid off for him when you look at his statistics at LSU. And he's a bona fide first-round pick if teams need the receiver in this year's upcoming NFL draft.
Yep.
LSU hasn't had the season that they thought they would have, but he's had the season that he wanted to have.
No, he's doing his thing, Big C. Kyle, I want to get your thoughts on Kyle Pitts. He's a tight end out of Florida. Now, he's moved from a possible first-round top 10 range, Big C. Pitts grabbed 24 passes, 414 yards, 8 touchdowns in 5 appearances this season alone, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Pitts is a prototype, Charlton, of what the NFL is using now in tight end. If you look at him physically, he's going to remind a lot of people of Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
And we know the all-pro career that he had, Hall of Fame career. he had with the Broncos and the Ravens, Charlton. But Pitts, leading the nation in touchdown receptions as a tight end. He's a big target for Kyle Trask. Both of these kids have elevated their games down at the University of Florida, and they're ranked second in the SEC.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of good things down there in Florida in the trenches, Big C. Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle, Virginia Tech. Oregon standout Penei Sewell is the top-rated offensive tackle, but Christian Darrisaw is making a run for the number 2 spot. Big C, your thoughts?
Something that's always needed by NFL teams, the offensive lineman, Charlton, especially that blindside tackle. And when you look at his development in the ACC at Virginia Tech, he's been one of those dominant road graders that has elevated himself into first-round draft status, Joe.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. Big C, Kenny Payne, Michigan, they're having a tough season right now, but Payne is doing his thing, managed to stand out positively. He checks in at 6'4", 272 pounds. They might put some meat on him, Big C. Last season, he gathered in a team-high 12.5 sacks, actually 12.5 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. In 3 contests this fall, he snatched 4 and 2 respectively with 4 hurries as well, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, with the pass-happy NFL now, Charlton, everyone's in need of a premium pass rusher. He punches all the tickets, Charlton, when it comes to that. This is a kid that will remind a lot of people of great defensive ends, especially the kid there in Cleveland right now.
Yeah, Myles Garrett.
Quite similar physically to Myles Garrett, same type of speed. If he can keep that consistent motor, Charlton, he'll be a huge plus in the NFL.
Yeah, Myles Garrett actually seemed like he benefited from having the chance to take some couple of weeks off last year. It's all fair and love and war. Azeez Ojulari, he's an edge rusher from Georgia for the Bulldogs, Big C. He's a redshirt sophomore. He's leading the defense both in tackles for loss at 6.5 and sacks at 4.5. He's also collected 11 hurries and 4 fumbles in 6 appearances this year, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at what Kirby Smart has done defensively down in Florida since he's taken over, Charlton, he's sent a wealth of defensive ends into the NFL. Great pass rushers. You look at Pittsburgh. Bud Dupree comes off that tree in Georgia. He's quite similar physically to a Bud Dupree-type player, Charlton, and a Khalil Mack. So when you can get a premium edge rusher in the NFL, you don't hesitate in grabbing them up.
No, he's like grabbing the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger. It comes with exotic meats, and you get it at participating restaurants. No one hesitates in grabbing it up. I'm telling you, this is a player coming up. No one thinks about him. His name is Xavier Collins. He's a linebacker out of Tulsa. This season, he's become an all-around playmaker with 6 stops for loss, Big C, 4 sacks, 3 interceptions, 2 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles in 5 games. You look at his size, Big C, 6'4", 260. It's no wonder NFL scouts are drooling watching this guy play, Big C. Your thoughts?
This is a guy that you can build your defense around, Charlton, based on his physical stature.
Yeah.
You can line him up anywhere. You can line him up at middle linebacker. You can line him up at outside linebacker. You can line him up at defensive end. This is a guy, when he steps into an NFL franchise, Charlton, is going to give a defensive coordinator the luxury of having a multifaceted player that you're really going to have a hard time defending.
No, he's amazing. And sometimes you just got to think about it. All the time we put in a lot of time looking at quarterbacks, looking at running backs, looking at DBs, and there's a lot of good players out there. I think he's going to have a lot of success. He's at Tulsa, should have been at Oklahoma. He'd be more noticed around the country. But thinking of cornerbacks, Darian Kendrick from Clemson. 2 years ago, Big C, Darian Kendrick played wide receiver, and he returned kicks. He caught 15 passes. He averaged 23 yards per return for Clemson on their championship-winning teams, and he's doing his thing again, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, to be able to make the transition from wide receiver to defensive back, that means you really have a grasp of what offensive players do, Charlton, because you're not that far removed from the position. But to have elevated his game, Charlton, to the status that he is, second-team All-ACC last year, and a solid cornerback now, he's going to be a high-round draft pick in the NFL and looking to have a long career at the next level.
Yeah, second-team All-ACC last year, 43 tackles, 2 interceptions, 5 pass breakups. That was 2019, rarely beaten. And you think about players that played both ways in college, not that many of them. I think Deion Sanders did it in college at Florida State. A couple other players have, but no one really did it as well as primetime Deion Sanders. So that's Big C's thoughts on some players that really have improved their NFL stock. I just hope they stay healthy. Everything's kind of up in the air with COVID-19, Big C. So even with that list that I just gave you, when you think about it, there's another thing they could add in my opinion, when scouts are looking at players. How do they deal with adversity? There has been no more adversity since COVID-19 showed up, since the Spanish flu back in 1918, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, every college player deals with adversity, whether it's COVID-19 or just having an opportunity to play. When you think about everybody on a college roster, Charlton, was an all-star when they were in high school, all-city, all-state, all-American.
Yeah.
But then when you come to college, you have to compete. There's adversity every day, Charlton, because you have to stay healthy to stay on the field.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with the biggest challenges you're ever going to have in your life prior to going to the NFL.
Yeah.
So when you can become a leader at a predominant top-flight college program, Charlton, that's always competing for championships, they know the type of character that you have.
Yeah, they know the type of character. I just wish every young player well, and I'm still going to bang that horn, Big C, for athletes to get compensated. They keep telling you they don't have the money, but they're firing white guys and giving them $15 million, and they don't have any money left over for you. That just does not make any sense. I want to get into Big C's thoughts for college football. If it goes according to plan the way it is right now, even though we want to get some of those West Coast teams in there, so we're going to do whatever we can to get some of the voting panel to look at the West Coast also. But if all goes according to plan, we'll likely see a college football playoff field of Alabama. Of course, they're always there. Ohio State, and then you have Notre Dame. Last time they were in the finals, they were beaten up pretty sadly by Clemson, Big C, 30-0. And then you have Clemson that's becoming as consistent as the sun rising. But let's be honest, what's really going on according to plan in 2020? Everything's up in the air, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it is, Charlton, because we have this plethora of canceled games on a weekly basis, and so you have little margin of error this year, Charlton, to make the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
You know you have the status quo far as three teams that are generally always there. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Charlton. And then it's a loose cannon after that, deciding on who's going to be there. But it's going to come down to the last couple of weeks of the season, Charlton. How many games you get in and how many teams stay healthy.
Yeah, and we're going to find out a lot coming up this week. I want to throw some thoughts out there to you. I want to get Big C's thoughts. Some other key games, December 5th, as long as it's not canceled, Clemson at Virginia Tech. The Hokies are a better team than their 4-4 record indicates, but it may not make a difference against Clemson's high-powered team. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Clemson had that one loss, Charlton, in Notre Dame, and they cannot afford to have another loss. It's going to be tough to get a two-loss ACC team into the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
But when you think about Virginia Tech, they have 4 losses on the season. Those 4 losses have come by a total of 22 points.
Yeah.
So they're not a team that's just going to go out there and lay down for you.
No, they're not laying down for you, unlike a lot of Rudy Giuliani's friends in hotels. Stay out of hotels, young ladies, especially with gross men like that. Big C, December 5th, you know, Mike Pence may go to this game, but then again, he may not, Big C. It's December 5th. Indiana's at Wisconsin. It's a universe apart, Big C. If Indiana upsets Ohio State on November 21st, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when you think about the Badgers, Charlton, they've had a tough start to the season. They've only been able to get in 2 games.
Yeah, 2 games.
They've been hit by COVID-19, so it's very critical that they cannot go into COVID-19 protocol again. But Indiana has to get over that hurdle called Ohio State.
Yep.
They have not beaten Ohio State, Charlton, since 1969. And that's a long time ago. I don't even know if you were born at that time. But,
wow.
you know, but the spread on that Ohio State-Indiana game, Charlton, is 20.5 points.
Yeah, 20.5 points, and that might not even be enough, Big C. You just don't know. I can't wait to see it. College football players respond a little bit different than NFL players. December 12th is a big game on the West Coast. San Diego State, they're at BYU. It's no secret that BYU needs to go undefeated if it wants to keep its slim hopes of sneaking into the playoff picture alive, and they got to win this game, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, San Diego State is coached by Brady Hoke.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Michigan is wondering how good he looks now. Because San Diego State is 3-1 and Michigan is 1-3.
Yeah.
But BYU, and we talked about Zach Martin, their quarterback, Charlton.
Yep.
This guy is the real deal. I don't see him slowing down against San Diego State. I see BYU remaining undefeated all year long.
Yeah, I think he's the best quarterback at BYU since Ty Batman, Robbie Bosco, and also the great Steve Young. It's all fair and level were. A good old game down in your neck of the woods. If everybody's alert enough to play this game and watch this game, you have Auburn at Alabama. It's November 28th, and you know that Alabama's looking for revenge, Big C. The Tigers still have a chance to play spoiler again in the SEC West. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is the Iron Bowl, Charlton, and even iron wears thin, but I think Alabama has that chip on their shoulder from last year, Charlton, with that, upset loss to Auburn, and they're going to come out, and Mac Jones is hot in that Heisman race, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's been throwing for 400 yards every time you blink an eye. I think Auburn's in for one of those afternoons.
Big C, I'm going to throw you an Alex Trebek question for the great Alex Trebek. When Auburn knocked off Alabama, it was called an upset. Why was it not called an upset when they cheated Oregon? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you knock off the best team in the country, Charlton, there's always going to be an upset.
You got to
knock off a team on the West Coast, it's just a win.
I told them keep those ducks away from those Tigers, or is it an eagle? It's all fair in Leavenworth, Big C. A big game. It's a really big game, especially for Notre Dame. Since Lou Holtz, 1988, Notre Dame has not won a national championship. 1988, they beat West Virginia. Notre Dame is at North Carolina, Big C, Mac Brown's team, November 27th. What are the chances that one or two lost ACC teams will make it to the college football playoffs, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, we saw what Sam Howell did last week, the quarterback from North Carolina. 550 yards and 6 touchdowns.
In one game.
Ian Book, people are talking about him as an outside looker on the Heisman race, and that's like he is. He's an outside looker. Notre Dame cannot take North Carolina lightly because Sam Howell can go up and light you up for big points, Charlton. They can score 70 points as a football team. So Notre Dame has to be on their P's and Q's.
Big C, would it hurt the ACC? Notre Dame just in there for this year, then next year they're going back to independent status. If they come in and knock off the ACC's two best coaches, that good old boy down at Clemson, Dabo Swinney, and if they get Mac Brown and then they get out of the conference, Big C, does that hurt the reputation of the ACC? Your thoughts?
No, it doesn't hurt the reputation of the conference at all, Charlton. Notre Dame is going to go back to their independent status. What you have to look at with Notre Dame win over Clemson is everybody's going to tell you that Trevor Lawrence did not play in that game, which gave Notre Dame an advantage in that game, Charlton. They played against a true freshman. So it won't be any tarnish on the ACC whatsoever.
We'll see what happens with that, Big C. Cincinnati at Tulsa. Cincinnati's the best team that nobody knows about. People know about them, but whenever you're in Ohio, they're going to look at the Buckeyes. But Cincinnati has the most compelling case, in my opinion, in years for a group of 5 teams to be invited to the college football playoff party. Big C, your thoughts?
And just as we were talking about a 2-loss team out of the ACC, Cincinnati runs the table, Charlton, and you have a 2-loss team in the ACC wins that conference championship game. There's no way that you would keep Cincinnati out of the college football playoff. So it's imperative that they keep playing, Charlton, and running up the score on their opponents.
Not so fast, my friend. If the West Coast goes undefeated in the championship game, USC and Oregon, there's no way you keep them out, even if they only play 6 games. That's just my opinion. We got to get Rudy Giuliani to help us get some more votes on the West Coast.
Well, nobody is seeing the teams on the West Coast, Charlton. That's the biggest problem. Cincinnati has played on prime time, and they've dominated on prime time. You haven't had a team on the West Coast, Charlton, that has had a blowout victory, which does not favor well when the College Football Playoff Committee is meeting. They're looking at style points, Charlton, margin of victories. Nobody on the West Coast has a victory with more than 14 points. But we do bring that defense and defense wins championship. Before we get up into the Big C, pause, and maybe Mike Pence might go to this game, and he would jinx his former state, Indiana, Big C. You would think that Bobby Knight really is on the sidelines because they're playing like Bobby Knight is chewing some hindsight, Big C. They're playing versus Ohio State, November 21st. That's coming up this weekend, Big C. If Indiana wins, and no one in the universe thinks it's going to happen except for Bobby Knight. If the Buckeyes win, think about this. If the Buckeyes lose, they'll tumble down the rankings. If the Hoosiers win, will that vault them into the playoff picture for the first time probably in the history of the universe? Big C, your thoughts? Charlton, they would move to the top of the charts in the Big Ten for the first time in their history. And it would give them serious consideration. But they have a couple of back-to-back opponents that are going to be really tough when you talk about Indiana. They're playing Ohio State. And if they're able to ease by Ohio State, they got to turn around and face Wisconsin, Charlton. 2 juggernauts in the Big Ten with fierce defense.
It's so exciting to see teams that don't historically win getting into the groove and knocking teams off. But when you think about it, they had a win over Michigan State. Michigan State's really down this year. They had a win over Penn State. They haven't won a game this year. Sometimes they sell you, what's it called, snake oil that Donald Trump sold to his friends, the people that voted for him, snake oil salesmen. They sell you stuff that's not real. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about some college football. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of good things happening in the world of sports. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcast. And I tell you, everyone around the world, just open your cell phone, hit the Google search, and say play Big C Sports Podcast. You'll get our program, and I really do appreciate the growth of Big C Sports. Big C College Football, Kent State. I believe that's Dave Letterman's alma mater, but I could be wrong. Quarterback Dustin Crum has been phenomenal this season. He's continued last night. Big C, I thought I was watching basketball. 69-35 victory over the University of Akron, the Zips. Crum was 22 of 25, 348 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns to go along with it, and he's an aerospace engineering major who plans to be a rocket scientist after football. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he was throwing rockets all over the field last night when you're 22 and 25. You know, that's very proficient as a college quarterback, even as an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
But to be that outstanding of a young man, when
Amazing.
you talk about his intelligence,
Yep.
and an aerospace engineer, Charlton, that's something we don't see often in these young men, the aspirations of knowing where they go after college football is over instead of thinking about, I'm going to make a living in the NFL.
Yeah, you want to impress somebody when whoever brings him home and say, not only is he going to be an NFL player, he's an astronaut. Daddy's going to open up a spot at the dinner table. If that makes sense to you, it's all fair in level word. Big C college football. University of Buffalo running back Jared Patterson, Big C, 301 yards rushing last night. 301, Big C. The Chicago Bears have 300 rushing yards in their last 4 games.
Well, you know, they were talking about looking for COVID in the sewers of Chicago, Charlton, to see, you know, if they could find examples of it there. I think if they go down in the sewers of Chicago, they will find the Chicago Bears also.
That's funny. That's actually funny, but it's mean. Oh, Lord have mercy. The NFL, Big C. Chicago, we're not calling you asshole city, okay? That's Big C. I just want to clear it up, Big C. I love going to Chicago. They have a great city. I want to run to the world of the NFL since we're talking about Chicago. The Pittsburgh Steelers. You know how earlier in the year we were joking about the Pittsburgh Steelers being the Steel Curtain Part 2 on their defense? You know, their defense is not as good as Mean Joe Green and Mel Blunt and them good old boys, Jack Lambert. And I mean, we know that. But their offense is probably on par with what Terry Bradshaw did with Lynn Swann and John Starworth and Franco Harris. But think about this. They have a road to a perfect season, and that scares Mike Tomlin. The Steelers' first start 9-0 since 2015. The Panthers did it for Carolina. They're looking to become the first team since the 2009 New Orleans Saints to win the Super Bowl after a 9-0 start, Big C, while claiming the 7th Lombardi Award trophy. That's the top priority. The Steelers are surely capable of doing it. They would not mind making history if they do it, Big C. You imagine how tight the sphincters of the Dolphins would be from the 72 team? They could try the Dolphins in that perfect season, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, possible. The goal is, as Mike Tomlin says, is to win the next game.
Yeah.
That's all they can concentrate on, Charlton. They don't look down the road to Week 16. They're looking at Week 10 right now, Charlton. That's the toughest game on the schedule.
Yeah.
And that's how you gain success, is that you play one game at a time. You always see this on every level of sports. Teams looking past an opponent to this supposedly next great opponent and end up getting their butts kicked.
Yep, and that can happen. You know, I think about the 72 Dolphins. They went wire to wire. The Patriots did it, but they lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants. But you just got to think about it. I think it's best, I mean, that sounds stupid, not lose this game, but lose a game before the playoffs, just so you're not so tight. Does that make sense, Nick, to your thoughts?
No, it doesn't, Charlton, because you want to win every game. I mean, you have incentives for winning games.
Yeah.
To show your greatness. I mean, that's what competitors are all about. If you think by losing a game is going to make you better down the road, no. Ask Baltimore last year, Charlton. They had the best record in the NFL. They sit their players down.
Yeah.
The final game of the season. What happened? They got trounced in the playoffs by Tennessee. Go back 2 years prior to that. The Dallas Cowboys had the best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
They sit down players, Charlton, the last game of the season.
At Philly, yeah.
It was 3 weeks before they got a chance to play.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they got their butts kicked in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's very good thought, Big C. Very good knowledge there. If you think about it, though, it's not easy. The Steelers' remaining games, the remaining 7, Jacksonville losing record, Baltimore winning record, Washington losing record, Buffalo winning record, Cincinnati losing record, Indianapolis winning record, Cleveland winning record. It's not going to get any easier, Big C. Your thoughts?
It's not like they have a road of cupcakes in front of them, Charlton. This is the reason why I say you don't sit down and say, okay, we can let this game go and be ready for next week. You just named 4 teams with winning records, Charlton.
Yeah.
What if they lose all 4 of those thinking about getting to the next week?
Yeah, there's 5 teams out of the 7 remaining with winning records. They don't want to lose it. I understand why Tomlin was chewing some hide when he came out. He should have been chewing on the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger. It comes with exotic meats. And if the Steelers go undefeated, they will all get the Big C burger. Big C is all fair in love and war. NFL Tua Tagovailoa. I'm going to call him Big Tua. They used to call a coach Big Tuna. I think it was Parcell. I'm going to call this man Big Tua, Big C. He aims to become the first rookie quarterback since Big Ben Roethlisberger to win his first 4 games. If the Dolphins beat the Broncos on Sunday, Big Tua will join Big Ben Roethlisberger, and that's exclusive company. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, and you think about all the great rookie quarterbacks that have come along over the years. Even this year, Charlton, you got 3 rookie quarterbacks that are starting, actually 4 right now with Luke down in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But 3 first-round draft picks starting. And here it is, Tua, looking for his 4th consecutive victory, Charlton, as a starting quarterback in the NFL. That would equal the put out of Herbert and Burrow altogether, Charlton.
Yeah, doing his thing. And down from St. Louis High School to Honolulu, Hawaii, over to the University of Alabama, playing for St. Nick. Now he's playing down there in Miami with the Dolphins. A Dolphin win would be the 4th in 4 starts for Tua, and the Dolphins would join Big Ben Roethlisberger 2004 for the Steelers as the only teams in the last 40 years, Big C, to with first 4 games for a rookie, starting at quarterback. Prior to Big Ben Roethlisberger, last rookie quarterback to do it was the great Phil Simms back in 1979 for the New York Giants. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you think about the legacy that both of those quarterbacks have, Charlton. Phil Simms has a Super Bowl victory with the Giants against the Buffalo Bills. You think about Ben Roethlisberger. He has a Super Bowl victory against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
So if Tua is to follow in the footsteps of those 2 guys and get his 4th consecutive win, Charlton, maybe there's a Super Bowl in the not-too-distant future for him.
Yeah, the not-too-distant future, Big C. And I don't know if he was there when they beat the Seattle Seahawks up in Detroit, but I'm not sure. But I think he was, Big C. NFL MVP odds, the great Patrick Mahomes overtakes Russell Wilson. Russell got to get the Big C burger and stop cooking so much, Big C, as the favorite. Aaron Rodgers, a quarterback from California, Pleasant Valley up in Chico. The other top options. 4 weeks, Big C, it appeared Russell was finally and easily on track to claim the first NFL MVP award of his prestigious career. Never done it. Now Wilson has been overtaken by the Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs MVP quarterback. I mean, I'm telling you, it's so crowded at the top, Big C. You think about Patrick Mahomes. He's thrown 25 touchdowns, just 1 interception through 9 games, while also completing the career-high 67% of his passes, and his 116 QBR rating is also the best in his career, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, and when you say something is the best of Patrick Mahomes' career,
that's
you
a lot.
gotta understand this guy's only in his 3rd year in the league,
Yeah.
And all he's doing is getting better as a quarterback every year. You can always put other players up there in the nomination for an MVP, but this guy is the echelon of what quarterbacks should be in the NFL.
Yeah.
Russell was having a great first 6 games of the season, Charlton. All of a sudden, the wheels have come off because he's been pressed.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is like the tortoise and the hare.
Yep.
Slowly moves the race. He's just consistent, and he keeps getting there.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is always popping up on everybody's radar. But Mr. Mahomes is just something special.
Yeah, Big C, I can't wait to hear your thoughts for Big C's NFL thoughts coming up on Friday. The Chiefs are playing at the Raiders. That might be the game of the week in the NFL. But I want to run up Big C's thoughts. I want to get Big C's thoughts. A complete rundown of the top favorites for MVP. It's just an opinion, but I want to get your thoughts on it. I'm going to mention a couple of names. You give me your thoughts. Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. Russell Williams for the Seahawks. Big C, your thoughts.
Well, I mean, like you said earlier, Patrick Mahomes is right now the clear-cut favorite, Charleston. You like him from day one.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done anything bad. I mean, he had the one game where he threw an interception and the Chiefs lost.
Yeah.
But they're going to avenge that game this week, Charleston, against the Raiders. Right now, the Raiders have 9 players on COVID-19 protocol.
Yeah, and Las Vegas would like that, make it easier to pick them. Aaron Rodgers for the Packers, Kyler Murray for the Cardinals. My goodness, Big C, your thoughts.
You know, between those two, Charleston, I would say that Kyler Murray is more of a threat than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
We've seen this show before from Aaron Rodgers. But Kyler Murray is the first quarterback in the history of the NFL on pace to throw for 4,000 yards and rush for 1,000 yards.
That is amazing. Colin Kaepernick did that in college when he did his thing at Nevada in the Nevada Hall of Fame, doing his thing. You got guys doing it in the NFL also. Big C, Josh Allen for Buffalo, also out of California, and Tom Brady for the Buccaneers, also out of California. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Josh Allen was one of those players that was in early contention, for an MVP consideration, Charleston. Tom Brady has turned it on of late, but he's had a couple of dismal games. I don't think that either one of these players should get serious consideration.
Josh Allen out of Fireball, California. Tom Brady out of Sarah High School in San Mateo, California. Big Ben Roethlisberger for the Steelers, and then Dalvin Cook for the Vikings. Big C, your thoughts?
Dalvin Cook has been phenomenal. As Dalvin Cook has saved your cousin's life in Minnesota with his running, Charleston, leading the NFL at rushing and scoring touchdowns, Charleston. But, when you look at him and what he's done, just phenomenal for a running back. It's very hard for a running back to win MVP in the NFL nowadays. Ben Roethlisberger is going to be between he and Alex Smith for comeback player of the year. But Ben's been phenomenal having the Steelers at 9-0.
Yeah, I'm going to throw you 3, Big C. Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens. Drew Houdini touchdown breeze for the New Orleans Saints. His season may be over, I'm fearing, with the cracked ribs and the punctured lung. And then Alvin Kamara, Big C, your thoughts for the Saints?
Well, Breeze and Jackson, you can toss them out of the race. Neither one of those guys will get any votes for the MVP this year, Charleston. Alvin Kamara, if anybody's going to get him out of New Orleans, he will. He is the straw that stirs the drink down there in the Big Easy. Yeah, he's been serving a lot of drinks, and when you're going to have a drink, get it with the Budweiser Zero. It comes with 0 alcohol, and it tastes great with the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats, and whoever gets the NFL MVP will definitely get the Big C burger. Big C, I want to talk about people who eat burgers leading the list of candidates for head coach of the year. Big C's thoughts. It would be easy to say this, but it's not always easy to win games. Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh Steelers. Big C, your thoughts? Well, to have an African-American, Charleston, in consideration for being coach of the year in the NFL is just an astronomical and phenomenal feat, Charleston, when you look at it. Mike Tomlin's the only undefeated coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
And his Steelers, if they run the table, even if they have one loss,
yeah,
I don't know if anybody could misplace him as being coach of the year.
If Mike Tomlin gets coach of the year, will Donald Trump challenge the vote in Pennsylvania?
Well, I mean, when you look at where the Steelers were last year, Charleston, this was a team, I believe they were 8-8 last year without Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger comes back. Mike Tomlin makes a couple of key acquisitions in the offseason. And his team is the best right now in the National Football League.
So if he wins, I don't want to see Rudy Giuliani outside of a porn shop saying that they're going to count the votes in Pennsylvania, if that makes sense to you. Brian Flores, that good boy, is coaching his backside off for the Miami Dolphins. Big C, your thoughts?
Brian Flores, I mean, he's become the new Bill Belichick of the AFC East, Charleston. When you look at what he has done with the Miami Dolphins, this was a team that in last year in the NFL, everybody said that they were tanking. Brian Flores had a game plan, Charleston, and late in the year, he turned the Dolphins around once he got his scheme into place. You look at where they are right now, they're second in the AFC East, Charleston. They're on a 3-game winning streak. And Brian Flores is worth his weight. Isn't that amazing? A black man teaching a Dolphin how to play football is off there.
for Big C. Cliff Kingsbury down in the desert of Arizona. He's teaching those Cardinals how to fly, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, all of the NFL brains were talking about this was a terrible hire by the Cardinals
I remember.
and the Bidwell family
Yeah.
down in the desert. They hired a coach the year before. They drafted a quarterback in the first round.
Yep.
Steve Keim, the GM, said, no, I made a mistake. He
Yeah.
fired Wilk. He traded the quarterback, Charlton. He drafted Kyler Murray. He signed Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
All of that, Charlton, has worked out. They're in first place in the NFC West. Cliff Kingsbury looks like a genius now. And damn, I love this home on draft day. I wanted to move in.
He got a nice pad. Somebody's paying him. But why does he have so many paper bags laying around his house, Big C? It's all fair. 11 Wars. Speaking of paper bags, Big C, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Reed, it's like every single year the Chiefs and Andy Reid are doing their thing. Would not be surprising at all if he's named Coach of the Year, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, when you got Mr. Mahomes, you can always be up for every award.
Yep.
Andy Reid got over the hurdle last year, winning his first Super Bowl as a head coach in 2 tries. But now, you know, he's moving up the coaching ranks in all-time victories, Charlton. He has 230 all-time NFL victories as a head coach, and his team will go through the season possibly with only 1 loss.
Yeah, and if they do, he has to split the big cheeseburger, the big C burger, with Eric Bieniemy. Just my opinion. He's the engine making the Chiefs work on offense. Big C, Stephen Stefanowski for the Cleveland Browns. Nobody thought they would play this well. They learned how to turn around and hand the ball off, and they're winning, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, he came in with the same brain trust, Charlton, he had as offensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings. Stefanski, Charlton, said, hand the damn ball off the field.
Yeah.
And every time they do that, Charlton, you see the Cleveland Browns with a victory. He told
Yep.
Baker Mayfield, just like he told your cousin up in Minnesota, I don't trust you throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Hand the damn ball off, okay?
Hand
Let
it
the
off.
running back carry it. It only weighs 13 ounces. He
Yeah.
carried all day long.
Yeah.
And now the Browns have a winning record that all the proponents said they would have 2 years ago.
Yeah, the ball's not that heavy. Sean Payton, but he doesn't have Drew touchdown Brees anymore. That might be difficult, but if they win the division and get into the finals without Drew touchdown Brees, you got to look at Sean Payton too, Big C. Your thoughts?
You really have to give Payton some consideration, Charlton. You look at the job he did last year when they lost Drew Brees. Teddy Bridgewater came in and won 5 consecutive games.
Yeah.
They're going to be without Drew Brees for the same length of time, if not even longer this year, Charlton. And now he has Jameis Winston stepping into that starting role.
Yeah.
If Jameis Winston and that LASIK surgery works out that he had after losing
Yeah.
his job down in Tampa,
Yeah.
Charlton, and he recognized that all the guys in the place are wearing the same color uniform that he is, and
Yeah.
just throw it to one of them,
Yeah.
he'll have some success, and it bodes well for Sean Payton's opportunity
Yeah.
to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, all Winston had to do is play like Drew touchdown Brees and just do your thing, and you'll have a good success down there in the Big Easy. It's all fair and level war. I want to get the Big C's first all-black officiating crew. The Rams and the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. History is going to be made next Monday night when the Los Angeles Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers meet for the first time. An all-black officiating crew is set to work an NFL game. Referee Jerome Boger, in his 17th season officiating, will be leading the crew and will be joined by umpire Barry Anderson, the down judge Julian Mapp, the line judge is Carl Johnson, the side judge is Dale Shaw, the field judge is Anthony Jeffries, and the back judge is Greg Steep. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you know, as Donald Trump says, he won't be watching games.
He's gonna protest.
He should be fined the SOB.
Yeah.
But also the Republican National Committee is putting out a protest, Charlton, because
Really?
Jerome Boger is from Georgia. And
Wow.
you know right now they're having a special election down in Georgia, so they're protesting that this black official is doing a Monday Night Football game.
Isn't that amazing? They protest anything black. Imagine when they find out that all life came from Africa and that Jesus is black. But I'm probably sure they know Jesus is not black because none of the Republicans are acting like Jesus, the way Jesus took care of the people. If you love me, feed my sheep. And they won't even concede yet, but they're going to be kicked out of the White House soon. NFL football, the Saints go marching in. Linebacker DeMario Davis, he announced a 1-year-old daughter is cancer-free. Thank God for that, Big C. The Saints linebacker DeMario Davis, he announced on Monday that his daughter, Carly Faith, Big C, is cancer-free after a battle with retinoblastoma. I believe I'm saying it right. Davis's 15-month-old daughter was diagnosed with a rare eye cancer in May, and she received subsequent treatment in recent months. and she was fitted for a custom prosthetic eye, Big C. Further tests have shown that she's cancer-free. What a miracle by medical science, Big C. Your thoughts?
Charlton, not just a miracle by medical science, but thank God for having health insurance in America.
Yeah.
As we see the Republican part of our political stature here in the United States wanting to eliminate health care for American citizens, Demario Davis has an opportunity to be part of the best health care in America,
in the world,
part of the NFL.
Yep.
And thank God that his daughter has recovered from this rare disease of cancer, Charlton, that children are afflicted with. We know that the NFL celebrates Breast Cancer Month every year. But it's more than just breast cancer that afflicts Americans, Charlton.
Yeah.
So all types of cancer are horrific and dangerous. But congratulations to the Davis family, Charlton, on their child overcoming this horrific childhood disease and recovering, and has a great outlook for having a tremendous life going forward.
Yeah, I'm just so grateful. Everyone, please get your checkups. Don't be afraid to go to the doctor. And God bless her. I hate when kids suffer, Big C. It makes my heart happy to just say that. I'm really proud of that. I love the medical industry, Big C. And POTUS says they do it just to make more money. My goodness. NFL Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. This good old boy is doing his thing, Big C. He only needs 231 yards over the remaining 7 games to become the first tight end in NFL history. That means in the NFL universe to have over 1,000 receiving yards in 5 consecutive seasons. In 2020, in this COVID-20 season, Big C, he has 58 catches, 769 yards, 13.3 average, and 6 touchdowns. He's going to do it, Big C. Your thoughts?
Oh, Charlton, I mean, playing with Mr. Mahomes, anything is possible. But when you think about the great tight ends over the history of the NFL, you think about Tony Gonzalez played with that franchise. Never accumulated that feat. You think about Shannon Sharp, Charlton. People think about how great he was. The Ghost to the Post in Oakland, Dave Casper. You know, you think about the great tight ends that the San Francisco 49ers had, Doug Jones, Doug Cosby down in Dallas. All these tight ends, Kellen Winslow, Charlton, over the history of the NFL, have never accomplished the feat that you look at with Travis Kelce, what he's done over the past 4.5 years in Kansas City, and is about to become the first to ever have 5 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons as a tight end in the NFL. Congratulations to Kelce and the Chiefs.
Yeah, I really hope he does it. He's been an amazing, consistent player. 2 top yards leaders both got traded this offseason. Big C's thoughts. I really want your thoughts, Big C, because you know you make that shine down south, you good old boys, even though you're quiet about it. These 2 good old boys, they needed shine when they got traded, but now they're happy they got traded. Number 1, Stephon touchdown Diggs for the Buffalo Bills, 73 catches, 906 yards. He's averaging 12.4 yards a catch, and he has 4 touchdowns. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, your cousin has to be soaking a little bit up the Minneapolis. When Kirk Cousins wouldn't throw him the ball, they felt that he was expendable. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills said, come on up here. Play outside in the cold weather. But he's been red hot since becoming a Buffalo Bills, Charlton. We saw him in that potential game-winning catch against the Arizona Cardinals last week down in the desert. Stephon Diggs has been better than advertised since becoming a Buffalo Bills, Charlton, leading the NFL in yards this season. What an outstanding job and a tremendous trade by the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, he no longer needs the shine that you were sending to him. Another guy that doesn't need the shine anymore, Big C, DeAndre Hopkins, the Arizona Cardinals, 67 receptions, 861 yards, 12 yards a catch, and 4 touchdowns, Big C. Your thoughts? You know, and when you think about Deshaun Watson, I think he's still having nightmares talking about what Bill O'Brien did to him and getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins, saying that, he wasn't a fit for the future of the Houston Texans. But Kyler Murray is elated. I mean, this guy put on his blue-red shoes, his blue suede shoes, and started dancing all the way when he saw Hopkins coming into town. And it's nothing but the reception he had last week against the Buffalo Bills to make that trade worthwhile, giving up the draft pick and players for him, Charlton. He couldn't do nothing else better than that. Nothing but, Watson might need some of that elixir you fix up for the good old boys when they try to get over their worries. It's all fair in love and war. And speaking of getting over worries, I want to jump to the world of college basketball. With the return of college basketball, Big C, during the rise of COVID-19,
Should college basketball really consider maybe May Madness? They're talking about putting teams up in Indianapolis. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, I like something like that, to push back the start of college football, because we're going into a dark winter, as President-elect Joe Biden did.
Yeah.
COVID-19 is rising and spiking all over the United States. We know how difficult it has been with college football, with the multiple cancellation of games that they had. You got to think that you're going to have even that same type of scenario with college football, because you have no social distancing. You're not going to be playing in a bubble during the season. We've seen how bad it's spiked in college football.
Yeah.
And college kids are on campus with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you move this back, and maybe they'll have a vaccine out at that time, and players and the rest of the population can start getting vaccinated, and they can beat this horrific disease of COVID-19. But moving back March Madness to May Madness, I think would be the proper step from the NCAA, Charlton. Hopefully we can get a handle on this COVID-19 virus.
Yeah, it would make sense. Big C, I want to jump in the world of college football, and there's a lot of games being played, but you have Texas at Kansas, Houston at SMU, UNLV at Colorado State, Louisiana at Central Arkansas. You have Houston at SMU. The Navy's playing at South Florida. All of the canceled or delayed due to COVID-19 that you just spoke about, Big C. Your thoughts?
And this has become the norm of college football, Charlton, not knowing what to expect on a week-to-week basis. There's no cure right now for COVID-19. They have not been able to get this under wraps.
No.
They can't protect and keep all the players safe.
No.
There's no social distancing, as I said. You have college players on campus doing what college players and college students do.
Yeah.
They interact with each other, Charlton. There's no way to protect them. So as this COVID-19 keeps continuing, and we're not going to have a vaccine distribution before 2021, Charlton, there's no way to predict what's going to happen with the rest of the college football season.
Yeah, there's no way to predict it, but it's like they're going to get the money. I just hope and pray that with the help of medical science, people will find a way to stay healthier. I want to speak about a player in the world of Major League Baseball. I know Major League Baseball just crowned the Los Angeles Dodgers 2020 World Series champions. And sometimes sometimes I got people that call me, they got this great investment idea. They just want me to put up the money. It's always fair, love, and war. The New York Mets second baseman, Robinson Cano, Big C, he's suspended for the entire 2021 season. This is his second PED suspension, performance-enhancing drugs. He will forfeit $24 million salary, the second highest paid player on the Mets, a 2-year, $48 million contract. They just got bought by a multi-billionaire. What a dumb thing to do, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is status quo for Robinson Cano. When you go back to 2018, he was suspended 80 games for the same abuse that he did, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people don't learn. And when you keep thinking that you can get over the test that Major League Baseball administers to players and you get caught, dumb on you. Like I said, dumb on you.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you $24 million for taking PEDs.
Wow.
$54 million. So when you think about what Robinson Cano has lost in the 2 years of not playing Major League Baseball, he's lost at least, $36 to $40 million, Charlton, from suspension. So, I mean, I guess he got a good bank account, some money tucked away, because it doesn't seem to bother him.
Yeah, it's all fair, love, and war. Still trying to find out what happened. Golden State Warriors guard Klay Thompson suffered a right leg injury, will undergo tests, and I don't know what's going on right now, but it did not happen at the Golden State Warriors facility. He was down in Los Angeles, Big C. That makes it very difficult. They're going to do some things in the draft tonight, but that would be tragic if he wasn't able to play this season. Big C, as we close out, I really want to thank again the land of Wakanda. I know, we lost Chadwick Boseman, Big C, the Black Panther star, and when you think about all the great things that have happened in this great country, Big C, Michael B. Jordan to be named sexiest man alive, all life came out of Africa. You don't need white people to tell you if you're sexy or not, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But do you really think that Donald Trump is going to cancel his subscription to People Magazine? Your thoughts?
Donald Trump is going to cancel the subscription to a lot of things, because the U.S. government is no longer going to be paying for it.
Yeah.
It has to come out of his pocket, so we know he's not one to want to pay his own bill.
Yeah, there's a guy by the name of Anthony Scaramucci used to work for him. He said Donald Trump is still asking for people to do a crowdfunding so he can pay his legal bills. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, that's what he's been doing. He's out there stumping, trying to get the Republican Party talking, donate money so that he can file lawsuits. But they don't understand. Anything less than $8,000 goes into his pocket.
Yeah.
Anything over $8,000 goes into the RNC.
Yeah. They say a fool is born every minute is all fair and loving. Well, I wish everybody in the NBA tonight, I wish you nothing but the best. Big C, back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm waiting on the NFL to really be honest about how many players that they have testing positive for COVID-19, and will they ever cancel a game because they have too many players that have tested positive. Once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders. They're always being honest about what's been facing them.
Yep, they're always doing it, and everybody keep your head up. Wakanda forever! You can find Wakanda 2 every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.